Avtron M3 and M4 hollow shaft encoder installation. The Avtron M3 is an optical mill-duty encoder. The M4 is a physically identical, magnetic, heavy-duty version. The M4 features a one-way breather drain. The M3 and M4 encoder employ a hollow shaft and clamping collar to lock the encoder to the shaft. An anti-rotation bracket prevents rotation of the encoder while allowing for shaft end float. Installation hardware, as shown in the manual and pictured here, is required to properly install the M3 or M4 encoder. M3 and M4 units are shipped with a protective plug in the hollow shaft to help prevent shipping damage. To remove the plug, begin loosening the collar clamping screws, then remove the plug. Continue to remove the collar clamping screws and apply thread locker to each. Reinstall the collar clamping screws. Do not tighten the clamping collar before installation onto the motor shaft. Bending the clamping fingers through collar tightening can make installation difficult, or the encoder may wobble excessively after being installed. Install the anti-rotation bracket to the back of the M4 using the screws and thread locker provided. Ensure that the breather drain of an M4 encoder will be facing down when the encoder is installed. Use the dial indicator gauge to ensure motor shaft runout, TIR, does not exceed 0.002, 0.05 millimeter. Use the caliper gauge to verify motor shaft is proper diameter and within acceptable tolerances. Clean machine shaft of any dirt and check for burrs or damage. Apply anti-seize to the shaft. The M3 and M4 encoders may be installed on fan-cooled, non-vent, and blower-cooled style motors. Installation on a fan cover is shown in this video. Insert the T-bolt through the fan grill. Use the supplied washers and nut to secure the bolt to the fan grill. Tighten securely. Add the flat and insulating washers to the tether bolt. Carefully slide the M3 or M4 encoder onto the motor shaft. Do not force. Do not hammer the encoder from the rear with a tool or with your hands. The encoder should slide on easily. Tighten the screws on the clamping collar evenly until snug, then firmly tighten. Do not use a standard right angle hex wrench for final tightening. Use only a T-handle hex wrench or torque wrench with hex bit. Secure free arm of anti-rotation bracket to the motor frame using flat washers and the nut provided. The arm should be flat with little or no deflection. Use additional washers to space as needed to ensure the arm is flat and not deflected. The M3 or M4 encoder is now properly installed. The body of the hollow shaft encoder should not wobble excessively when the shaft is turning. For the M4, the body should show no more than 5/1000 runout as measured from the outer perimeter of the body. See the manual for instructions on correcting excessive runout. The M3 or M4 is now installed properly and is ready to output signals to your PLC or drive. If an oscilloscope is used to test the encoder, the signal should look roughly as shown here, without large variations in the signal. The signals shown here were taken at steady speed. The M3 or M4 encoder is now properly installed and will provide years of trouble-free service.